Hey everyone, thanks for joining us. The next episode of Red Valkyrie is about to start. Hello and welcome to another episode of Red Valkyrie. I'm your host, Shae the Red, and I am sitting here with the very talented Scott. How are you doing, sir?
Good. Glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely, man. So you have a campaign that is quite a bit different than a lot of other campaigns that have been out there. And anybody who's listened to me talk about writing or some of the things that I'm wanting to do, they agree that this is probably going to be like straight up my alley. You have a book called Wrath, and this is chapter 2 of that series, correct?
Correct.
Fantastic.
Yeah, we already did an Indiegogo last year. That's finished, fulfilled, and we're jumping right in and getting the story moving.
I like it. So why don't you go ahead and give us your pitch so people can understand what I mean when I talk about how Wrath is a little bit different of a campaign than maybe some of the other ones that we've seen.
Sure. Wrath is basically the story of a young man who had a abusive childhood. His mother finally got the strength and basically took young Doug and started a new life. He got a stepdad, made best friends with his current friend Nicole. Life was good, but then there's something that's always sat with him, something unresolved. He's always kind of hung on to that anger, that bitterness, that regret. And then in the first chapter, we kind of see how just a casual conversation with his friend Nicole brings some of those memories back to the surface. On his way home, he decides to basically, call it a night because it puts him in this foul mood. And he takes the shortcut home, and he runs into two guys who basically beat him up and take his bike. All while he's kind of going over that abusive childhood memories. He ends up going home, and we kind of see his power manifest. And this is one of the main things that Wrath is about is he has this ability where he can physically manifest all those emotions he's been hanging on to into this wolf-like creature, the concept of which is my little icon here. We affectionately call it the Rage Puppy. There'll be a more official name that we're gonna release as through the storyline. So I don't want to spoil that. But chapter 2 basically continues on the story of basically what that creature goes out and does that night. Doug kind of only has dreamlike fragments of the memory of it. And he kind of starts piecing it together at the end of one, and he confides what he's, afraid of happened to his best friend Nicole. So chapter 2 is basically how their friendship works, how she supports Doug, and how they ultimately kind of discover what's really happening with Doug and what he's capable of.
It's very, very cool. So when did chapter 1 come out? How long ago was that?
We had the digital finished and out to backers December of last year. We had the campaign run, I think, through September into October.
So right about a year ago.
Yeah, right about a year ago. We had some printing delays with another Wikid project that was kind of big, kind of slowed us down. Then COVID hit, so we didn't actually get the print fulfillment till June of this year. But we got that out to backers, and we were using all that time to start prepping and getting 2 ready. So we were ready to get this launched and out there, and try and keep rolling on that success of 1.
That's really it's a really interesting story because it's you're talking about this kid who had a really abusive childhood, and there's a lot of people that can kind of relate to that sort of storyline. What was it that kind of inspired you to write this story?
The initial idea was a little bit different, but I was working in my local DA's office. I did clerical work there at the time, and I was assigned to the family violence unit. So I see all these just horrible things that people do to each other, and I was always inspired by like the people who had these things done to them, but they were able to like take it and turn it into something positive and rise above it. And that's one of the themes that I wanted to tell with this is like we all kind of have these scars and these things that are out of our control that happen to us, but while they do ultimately affect us, it's up to us on how much they do or how they can affect us.
Right. So, and Yetz is right on the same wavelength as me. Will chapter 1 be available through this campaign?
So I actually have a publisher, Wikid Publishing. You can do a digital catch-up tier, but if you wanted to get a physical or digital copy right now, you can actually go to the Wikid Publishing website, which is wikidpublishing.net, and you can order a copy and have that right now outside of the campaign.
All right. Very cool. Yeah, this just seems like a really unique kind of perspective and a kind of a cool looking story. So I'm excited to hear more about it. Why don't you go ahead and tell us about the tiers so people know what they can get?
Oh, sure. Could I actually just also kind of point out the artwork? We do something a little different with that as well. We do a grayscale for the most of the comic, but we do the creature in blue as well as the kind of like the creature flashback when Doug is kind of looking through the creature's eyes, like you see on that page there. So we kind of get this supernatural effect, and the creature kind of pops off the page like it's unnatural and doesn't belong in the world.
Very cool. Yeah, that's a really cool way to go about this, where it's kind of it differentiates everything. So when you're looking through the creature's eyes, or there's a flashback or memory, basically. But that's I like that. I think that's neat. Okay, so your featured perk. You have one of each with extras. What is that?
Okay, so we do a variant with our crowdfunding. We only print enough to fulfill with like a little bit of a buffer to make up for any lost or damaged ones. So you have a standard copy, you have the variant. All of my tiers come with a digital of the chapter 2. And then we also have some featured artwork that you were pointing out that you really liked, that we're doing as a 8.5 by 11 print and a 3.5 by 4-inch sticker, and awesome. That's all included in the featured tier.
And this is, we'll scroll back down and we'll hang on it for a minute, because the detail and everything in this print is just fucking beautiful. It is amazing, and I love that you guys offer that. You're killing me because you're offering it on other things that I want that we'll get to in a second.
Right. Was it death metal's like blue creature, title of wrath? Was this made for me? I don't know.
I mean, he does have a gigantic blue mohawk.
So
kind of, yes.
Kind of.
A little bit.
If we put some white stripes in there for like the scarring on the creature, we might be in business there.
Hey, look at that. Look, go streak it with a little bit of white. and then you're the embodiment. Perfect. All right, so you got a $5 digital copy. That's pretty self-explanatory. 10. So you're only doing $10 for a physical.
Yep, for just the standard basic physical, $10.
Wow, that is quite cheap.
And it is 35. We're estimating it to be about 35 pages.
Okay. $10 for the digital catch-up, so it's 1 and 2. I'm only going through these fast because there's really cool things that are coming up, guys. Okay, I promise. And these are really self-explanatory. All right, so this is your variant. So this is your standard cover then, right?
Yep, that's the standard cover by our cover and concept artist Drew Smith.
And then that's the variant one.
And that's the variant one. We brought on a little known talent. If you don't follow her, I recommend it. Her name's Rosalind Summers.
Okay.
And she did our variant.
Very cool, very cool. So that's the variant cover. You can get one of each physical copy for $25. And this is why I was hurrying, guys. Look at this. Luke, this is for you. Do you see the t-shirt? All right, so what do we get for $65? So that's what, an extra $40 on top of if you got the two. But this is just the variant copy.
So yeah, you get the digital, you get the variant copy, and then you get that campaign exclusive t-shirt.
Very, very nice. So if you wanted one of each copy, then you're looking at what, $15 more?
Yeah, so if you do the 80, that's basically the featured tier with the t-shirt.
I like it. So you get the print, the sticker, the t-shirt, standard variant, and the digital. And see, I knew that Luke would be excited. He's like, "Hey, t-shirt." How you doing, Gal? Thank you for coming, dude. All right, so then your last tier that is not sold out is your cameo. Explain the details of the cameo.
So the cameo would be like a single panel in the comic. You can have yourself, family member, or one of your original characters drawn into Wrath. So Luke, if this is the embodiment of the comic for you, you can embody yourself into the comic.
Nice.
And get drawn in. This is actually a panel from chapter 1 where we had Dan Sakraz, Adobe Kroger, is drawn into that panel. She was a cameo in our first chapter.
Oh, that's awesome. And this, everybody, this was the print that I was talking about. So I love that it's got in the background, it's got Japanese. Is it Japanese?
I think he did like a generic, I think that's kanji print back there.
Yeah, okay. That's fine. I don't care what it is.
There is some interesting, I'm not going to spoil too much, but part of chapter 2 is while they're kind of looking into the possibilities of what's happening with Doug, they kind of stumble onto this Japanese folklore. It's not something that I based the whole concept on. It was just something I stumbled on when I was researching after I had my idea. And it was similar enough that I thought it was interesting enough to put in the story. And I think that inspired Emilio to come up with that really cool print.
Well, and so this is so there's a bunch of pieces that I like about it. I like the fact that it kind of has a worn, burned looking edge. And like some of the, the staining and stuff that's along it, which I think is really cool. But this, like, if you have ever gone and gotten a, like an actual traditional, like Japanese print where they kind of do like, all of the heavy inks and everything like that in the watercolor, it's almost impossible to find it because they normally do that kind of stuff on like rice paper, and it's almost impossible to find it without some of that staining on the edge if it is old at all. Like if it has any age to it, it almost always has a little bit of that staining around it. And so it's a really cool detail that he's added in there. Plus the color saturation that he's done for the background looks a lot like those more traditional watercolor inks and stuff that would go into one of those paintings. So I love that you've got that.
And that's what he was actually, we can't really sell it anymore because it's sold out, but that's basically what he was doing with that custom art thing. He was doing some custom coloring on it, and that wasn't even the finished version, just kind of a in process.
Oh wow. And considering the subject matter of this book, I really like that you have like the way that he drew these two interacting where, your main character Doug looks just kind of done, just kind of down and depressed and kind of just done. And his best friend's right here next to him, like, you know, not going anywhere, trying to almost like trying to like reach out to him. And that the fact that there's light coming from that book kind of makes you feel like whatever it is that she's saying is something that's hopefully going to reach him and help him with whatever he's struggling with.
And I think that does inspire a lot of people, and it's definitely inspired a lot of our covers with this one and chapter one. We like to do a lot of this play with light and darkness,
Yeah.
and both my artists have kind of picked up on that as far as the subject matter of the story.
Yeah, and it's very, very well done. And this is probably my favorite thing that you have on the entire campaign. Because I don't know, I feel like it kind of hits that emotional undertone of what the whole book is talking about. You know, it's a real good embodiment of it.
Yeah, and when he showed it to me, I was just thrilled. I was like, "This is fantastic! Thank you, so much for just nailing that and knocking it out of the park."
Yeah, absolutely, very well done. Well, you've got you've got a lot going on here, so yeah, just I sorry, my internet sometimes is really spotty.
Okay.
Uh,
For a second, I was like, "Is that on my end? What happened?"
No. We've been doing good. I thought that we were gonna make it, but apparently, almost 5 o'clock on a Friday or on a Saturday. I don't even know what day it is. On a Saturday is too much to ask. So yes, thank you, Jason. I did freeze. Yeah, so you have 27 days left, and this is your second 30, correct?
Correct. I was a little nervous. We were looking at 26% towards the first 30, and like you kind of want to be around 50 for that extension. I was fortunate enough that my backers rallied and got us over 50. I think it was 58, 60% before the 30 days was up. So I felt comfortable extending.
Well, that's fantastic. And so you're at 61% funded now. We are just under $1,000 before this is completely funded and definitely going to be a thing. So if you haven't already backed this, might I suggest maybe backing the works, because that is an awesome looking tier in order to back, where you're getting the t-shirt, the print, the sticker, standard and the variant copy. It's got everything, and you get to have that beautiful artwork on a t-shirt, which is just phenomenal. Like that is, I wish that you had this on like some kind of like that thin paper that had all the edging and stuff like that. But that's a lot of extra work. Trust me, I just recently started doing that for somebody else. It's a lot of work.
I was toying with the idea when we go into in demand, just offering it on a wall scroll.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
As just like an extra little thing that people could pick up after we get funded.
Yeah, I could definitely see that on a wall scroll, and that's something that I would hang up for sure. Just because it's, like I said, it's my favorite thing that you have on this campaign. So I'm going to remind the chat, if you have any questions, please post them in there, and I will highlight them up. Gil says, if I back, do I get a drop bear? I'll make you a deal. If you back, I will finally do the drop bear that I owe you.
Is that like a channel joke?
No, it's like a Gelf joke.
Okay.
Like, Gelf wants drop bears. Do you have any idea what a drop bear is?
Is that the whole Australian meme thing about the drop bears? All right.
Yeah, the vampire koala thing. So he wanted me to do a hand turkey drop bear, and I 1,000% have not done it at all. So yeah, Skelth, if you back, I'll do your drop bear. I promise. On a much more serious note, Unhinged Entertainment says, "Who are some of your comic influences?"
Oh, that's a good question.
It is.
So I took a lot of inspiration um, from. I'm a big, anime manga fan as well as comics. So I took a lot from like Tite Kubo, the creator of Bleach. That's kind of what led me to go in the grayscale direction. I kind of did, wanted to show some manga influence, but I didn't want to do like a traditional manga style. Didn't really feel like that was direction I wanted to go with this. I'm also just a big Batman fan. So I think that's kind of where I kind of got the dark broodiness of it. But other than that, it's just smaller influences, smaller, um, people that just kind of influenced me along the way. That's kind of a tough question to like nail it down to like everything that might have inspired me. But yeah, I've always been a fan of comics. I've always been a fan of sequential art. So it was, I don't know, it just kind of took to it really, really well when I just started writing for it. Something that never really appealed to me was block text. So being able to just kind of visualize each panel and just write out the details, write out the dialogue, it just clicked with me.
I like that. That's awesome. We've got Gelth, since he was late to the game. Any chance of Wrath 1 as well? And like you had said before, Wikid has it on their website.
Yep, so you can actually go order it now, read Wrath 1, and then decide if you want to come back to the project.
Awesome. So I just posted the link in the chat for anybody who is interested in getting that first book. You can either get the digital or the physical, and it's right there. So feel free. Unhinged wants to know, how many issues do you have in store?
I have it outlined for 6. The original idea was to have around 250-page graphic novel. As a newcomer, I knew I can't just throw that up there and say, "Hey, everyone, back me! I need 10 grand."
Right.
It was not feasible. So I decided to break it down into the chapters and build my audience that way, and also create these cool collectible floppies that everyone could enjoy. But the end game would be a trade paperback.
So when you do chapter 6, are you going to do chapter 6 and then a collected edition?
Correct. Once we get 6 funded, I would go back and compile everything, and then just hopefully be able to do a trade paperback that everyone could pick up through Wikid.
Awesome. Nice. Jason says, "I need 10 grand too. 10 grand all around." Everyone needs 10 grand. I wish, especially because if we get 9 grand, I get a bonus because I helped edit his campaign. So go back Absolute too while we're at it. You just do all the good things, but make sure that you back Wrath first. Unhinged also asks, "Are there any other projects that you have in the pipe?"
I do have one that I've tinkered with, wrote a little bit. I'm trying to, stay on target with this one and get this, off the ground running, stabilized, before I do anything else. But yeah, definitely other things that I'd like to do, and hopefully I can kind of get a name and some fans, and sky's the limit from there.
Nice. Are all of the other projects that you're kind of thinking of, do they all kind of center around, because this kind of centers around mental health, for, a lack of a better way to put it. You're talking about somebody who's dealing with having a rough past and how it's affecting him as he's no longer in that same situation. So do all of them deal with heavy stuff like that, or are some of them a little bit less Deep?
This one and the other one that I definitely have plans for are darker and deeper. The other one, without giving too much away, is more of a fantasy that has magic like to it, but is very much not magical. If that makes any sense.
That makes no sense
Uh,
whatsoever. No.
so the kind of the theme is that magic is a concept that we apply to things that we don't understand.
Okay.
So it's in a fantasy world where people are able to pull off this stuff, but they don't use magic. They use practical effects and just general discoveries through like scientific methods.
Okay. By the way, I just hit refresh, and you are now at 28 backers
Oh, thank
at
you.
15:45. So thank you, whoever backed. That is phenomenal. Unhinged Entertainment also brings up another good question. I wish that StreamYard would be quicker so I could actually bring it up on screen. But he was saying, is this digital? There's no art here that I saw. So you don't have any original art being offered.
There was one at the very bottom. We had that one piece that Amelia did, but yeah, this is all digital work. We don't have any traditional like pages or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Well, there's the answer. Yet says that was me. Thank you very much, darling, for backing the book. That is phenomenal. Gelth is saying he's having issues buying that first book off of the Wikid store.
Huh. Let's take a look.
I'm not sure what the problem would be. If I would say if it persists and Scott can't figure it out for you right now, I would definitely reach out to Wikid and ask them if they can help you out a bit. Oh, seeing Yet says the same thing. Very bizarre. Very bizarre. We want to make sure that you guys can get that first book. Baz says, Shae, there's something on your face. Where is it? Is it this right here? Sorry, I just trying to.
Is it? Are you trying to get the digital or the physical?
Yeah, digital or physical to Gelth and Yats. Which one are you going for? We shall find out. In fact, we can even find out live. Physical.
Okay, and is it giving an error message or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't seem to be having issues. Does it get you past this screen? Is I guess the question for Yetz and Baz and Gelth. Very bizarre.
What browser are you guys using? Just curious. Sometimes it might be a browser issue.
Yeah, not sure. But hopefully we can figure it out. If you guys aren't getting to the screen that I just showed up there, I am on Google Chrome, so that might help if your other browsers are not working. Jason has another good question for you here. Are you a Hellshock fan?
I don't think I'm familiar with that series, but it does sound something I would enjoy.
Oh wait, I already sent Luke his, so mine are no longer accessible. Hellshock is a really striking comic for sure. Death Metal Hero is the one who kind of turned me on to it, and I haven't read it yet, but I got issues 1 and 2, and the cover art alone is really, really striking, and probably just based off of what you're going for with Wrath could very well be something that you would be interested in. So that'd be one I would recommend checking out. It's older, obviously, but it holds up pretty damn well.
Yeah, I've also had comparisons to, there's like all sorts of works that I need to check out. I did check this one out. People compared the Rage Puppy to JoJo's Bizarre Adventure stand. Someone also compared it to a older 19, I think it's 50s 60s film, Forbidden Planet. I need to check out. But yeah, lots of neat ideas, and I'm always willing to go check these out.
Yeah, and now Jason's giving me shit. He says, old, it's 90s, LOL, damn kids. I know, that's 30 years ago, Jason. That's older when it comes to comics. I'm just saying.
uh, Jetsabel says she's on my merch site. If you're on the merch site, you want to go to the main page and scroll all the way down, and then there's a link to the Wikid site.
Yeah, I put the Wikid site in the chat. There it is again. That takes you right to the book. Even doesn't take you to Wikid's main. It'll take you directly to Wrath, so you can go and back it there. Yeah, and Luke says 1990 was 30 years ago. 1994 was only 26 years ago. Damn it. You know what? Close enough. Close enough. All right, guys. You're killing me here. Yeah, and Unhinged is saying being compared to other books and artists and such is not an insult, it's flattery. And I think that you've got a really interesting looking book here. It definitely has me intrigued, and I really love I love the care that seems to be taken with telling this story. So I think that you're doing a really cool thing here, and I'm excited to see where this ends up going. I'm gonna kick it to the chat one more time. If you have any other questions, please feel free to put them into the chat, and so we can bring them up to Scott while we have him. Scott, is there anything else that you want to talk about?
Well, I was just curious. Did you get to read chapter 1 yet?
I haven't. I'm so bummed.
Okay.
Like I got it sat there, and I opened it up, and then apparently I haven't been sleeping well enough, and so I ended up crashing out like before I even got to a first word. So.
Oh, I totally get that.
Yeah, it's been a very bizarre world lately, and sleep has not necessarily been the easiest thing to get recently.
Yeah, was it after? So when was that? Wednesday night was the end of the 30 days, and I just pushed hard, and like Thursday night after like a day of work, I was just done.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I did agree with his where he said that I do take it as a compliment when I remind people of other projects, and I think it's cool. That's why I try and take the time to go and check them all out.
Right, absolutely. Christopher John, thank you for joining us. It's awesome that you are here. If anybody else, oh, look at that! Look at Yet supporting you. I see. This is why we love her. She is one of the true supporters of CG and of indie comics in general. She buys so many. She's like, I thought I bought a lot. She smokes me.
Well, thank you. I really hope you enjoy it. I want as many people to get their hands on it, and just because I think it's gonna relate to a lot of people, and I love to hear that feedback too. So yeah, thank you for backing.
Absolutely. Unhinged. He says, yes, is the backer queen. Is very true. And then he says, what made you want to go indie funding over possible Dark Horse or Image?
I don't know. It was just kind of, it's a unique idea. It's something that might not be accepted in the mainstream right away. Also, it was kind of a chance meeting with one of the new employees at my work was Michael from Wikid Publishing, and I just was kind of working out, how I could get this out there, and I pitched it to him, and he really liked the idea, and I just kind of took off from there. The first path that opened up. especially since I hear there's a lot of rejection letters from like Dark Horse and Image, and with someone like me who doesn't have or didn't have as much experience back then with the whole process, this just seemed like the best option.
Death Metal Hero says, is your blue creature canine or feline in origin?
It is canine. I wanted to go with something kind of primal and animalistic, since it was kind of anger and aggressive in nature. I also put a little Easter egg in the first chapter that I'm probably going to reiterate in other chapters on why it's specifically this wolf-like creature. I will say it's in one of the flashback panels. But yeah, it is canine based.
Fantastic. So based on a wolf, basically. Yeah. Well, this is a really awesome looking project. This is something I think that everyone should, definitely try and get in on if you can. And if you have yet to get in on Wrath, like this is your chance. So chapter 2 is currently up on Indiegogo. If you want chapter 1, I will post it once again into the chat for you all, so you guys can go onto Wikid's website and get your copy. Jason has one final question that I'm going to post up here. He says, so do you do it all? Are you the art, writing, editing?
No, I create, I do the writing, and then I do all the crowdfunding and promotion. I have a concept artist, cover artist. She was originally slotted to do the page work, but it ended up being a little bit too much for her. And then that's Drew Smith, and then Amelia Utrea. He's done another crowdfunding book called Emodia. He joined us and did all the page work and lettering for Wrath.
Okay, fantastic. And Jason is getting mad at me because we haven't asked his stereotypical question yet. So his question is, if you were a tree, what tree would you be?
Oh, that's a good question. I've always been fond of oak trees.
Okay. So he would be a mighty oak. There you go.
Be a mighty oak. From the acorn to the mighty oak.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. Thank you everyone in the chat for chilling with us. Thank you to Yetz for backing both the first and the second books, and I know Gelsa is probably going to try and get in on that first book too. He was talking about it. Thank you guys so much for just supporting all of these creators and their really awesome projects. And if you would please like, share, and subscribe to Red Valkyrie. Make sure that you share this video out. Let's try and help get Wrath a little closer to his funding goal, and see if we can't get a few more eyes on this very unique looking project that I think a lot of people can relate to, and a lot of us are kind of dealing with, especially in this epidemic kind of time frame. A lot of us can relate because you don't have anything else to do but to think. So thank you so much, Scott, for coming and hanging out with us.
Oh, definitely. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everyone that came on and listened to me ramble for the last 30 or 40 minutes.
And thank you guys so much for hanging out. We will catch you all later. Have a good night.